Various organizations in South Africa, including the Christian View Network, have made oral submissions before Parliament's Basic Education Portfolio Committee on the Basic Education Law Amendment Bill. The bill has been criticized for aiming to change the powers of school governing bodies in deciding on admissions and language policies at school. To talk to us, we're now joined on the line by the spokesperson of the Christian View Network, Philip Rosenthal. Thank you so much, Philip, for joining us.
Hi there.
Tell us about this proposal now. What does this mean?
Well, I think that this proposal is part of a battle which has been going on for the last 25 years in terms of between the powers of the state and the powers of parents in schools. And if the bill was passed in its current form, it would significantly shift quite a lot of power from parents to the state. And we argue that the powers should rather be taken back from the state and given back to parents. Some of the examples of things that would be affected would include the school governing body powers over who they admit, which then affects their financial viability, their ethos and their language. It also would affect their powers to buy things, to determine language policy and their code of conduct. And we have a particular interest in the religious ethos of the school, but the religious ethos is affected by all of these other things, and also the principle of parental control. Now, another problem is that it would require the school governing body members to declare all of their financial interests and those of their families, which is a massive invasion of privacy. Because, why should you have to declare all your business dealings just because your husband happens to be on the school governing body? And that is going to deter some good parents from wanting to be on the governing bodies and thus weaken them. Also, in terms of homeschooling, it would make homeschooling more difficult, add costs to homeschooling, and reduce the flexibility of curriculums that the homeschoolers might want to choose. It would also make it more difficult for independent schools to both obtain subsidies and also to rent facilities, which they often do from public schools, which they often share, which we say is a good thing. So we would want to make it easier for all of those three categories that parents might choose: independent schools, homeschools, and school governing bodies. And we would argue that while they might have some good motivations for the changes that they are making, such as reducing corruption and helping the poor, actually these proposals would make things worse. And we argue the way to fix things is to put power back in the hands of parents, and for the department to focus its attention on helping those schools which are dysfunctional and don't have proper school governing bodies to become functional.
And this is a topic very close to my heart, Philip. You speak about the parents having those rights and giving the parents power to be able to be part of creating policies. What are some of the benefits of having parents actively involved in the schools and not sort of giving all of the power and the responsibility to the Department of Education?
Well, I think there's many different benefits, but I think the first question is what we determine is good, because I think that all of the listeners will, if they just think about the value that they place on their own children and how upset they would be if something happened in their child's school which was going to hurt their children. Now, all parents feel that concern and that anger, but they don't always agree on what they would like to happen. So if we devolve power to the lowest possible level, it gives you the most chance that you can have a say for what you want for your for your children. It also increases efficiencies and accountability, that where there are strong school governing bodies, the teachers tend to perform better, the children behave better, there's better use of finances. Often parents will use their skills to strengthen what is happening in the schools. The same applies for independent schools as well. So we want to maximize the involvement of parents and the say that parents have in their particular schools, not have a one-size-fits-all for everybody.
How do we then capacitate those schools that are lacking when it comes to SGB leadership, where you see the embezzlement of funds, you see the misuse of resources? Because those schools are, I think, some of the concerns that the department may be having.
Well, I think we share that concern, and firstly, we've asked the School Governing Body Association if they can help the schools which don't have good functional school governing bodies, and they are happy to help, but the department is not so enthusiastic about this idea, and we think that would be a very good thing, and I think to a certain extent it's a power dispute between some officials who would like to concentrate powers in their offices in Pretoria rather than devolve it down to the lowest possible level. But I think it's also a practical thing for parents who are listening, that you need to get involved in your own school in one way or another, either being on the school governing body or supporting another parent who is there to make a difference. But at the same time, if we make it easy and for parents to be on those school governing bodies, not requiring this declaration of all of their financial interests, rather just declare any conflict of interest with doing business with the school, as you would do in any business company, if you declare your conflict of interest, then that would solve that corruption problem. But really, we don't think that micromanagement by the state has shown any benefit in reducing corruption. The biggest government departments are the ones that have the biggest problems with corruption. It's the devolution of power to the lower level that is going to reduce the corruption, having the accountability to parents.
And it makes sense, right, to put people who are on the ground, who are experiencing the challenges, who know what is happening in the schools, to have that power, Philip.
Yes, that's right. And I think also that children are not all the same. Different children have different needs, and those parents know what their children need, and different communities of parents can also draw common interests, such as parents who have an interest in a Christian ethos can draw together, people who have a particular language preference can draw together, and they can pool their interests and put energy into helping those things. It's also where people are invested and feel they have a say, they're more likely to give their money and time to make things better. And it's where parents get involved, for example, in helping with school outings and tuck shops and clothing sales and all these different ways that they input into the school, and they sometimes bring in their business skills and to assist and make it a community school rather than a monolithic state school. Now, in a prison, everybody has equality, but what a benefit is that you want to uplift people one by one where you can into a better situation.
What are you hoping should come out of this meeting at the end? You had your oral submissions before Parliament's Basic Education Portfolio Committee.
Well, we've asked Parliament to fix this legislation, so we want to shift the right to lease facilities from 1 year to 3 years. We want to take away any threat of jail time for parents who home educate their children. We want to have the situation where admissions policy, procurement policy, language policy, code of conduct is all in the hands of the school governing body, that they don't need to declare their finances, that homeschoolers can choose whatever curriculum that they want, and they don't need to, as is required, hire consultants to verify whether they are doing things correctly or not. And we would like independent schools to submit annual statements, not quarterly statements, in order to obtain subsidies.
Thank you so much, Philip, for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you.
That's the spokesperson of the Christian